I think this is an incredible time to show empathy in a time of crisis and panic. Hi, welcome back. It's been a while since we talked. I'm embarrassed to say it's been about a month since I've done my last video, and I think I may have fallen into the same category as a lot of people. A little bit of panic, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of not knowing what to do next in some of these crazy times that we've been facing. And I wanted to film outdoors today just because I wanted to shine a little bright light on what is a very, very grim and potentially horrifying situation that's happening for all of us right now. Again, hopefully everybody's feeling really well. I want to start with that. Hopefully yourself and your friends and your family are in a good place and in a healthy place, both personally, from a health standpoint and from a financial standpoint as well. So if you've been watching this channel, you know that I talk consistently about leadership and sales and leadership training and just best tactics for a workplace environment. And we are in a very peculiar time. I don't know if you know this about me, but when I moved to Arizona in 2003, I jumped immediately into the real estate industry. And then eventually I had my own brokerage between 2006 and 2008. What I wanted to do was use 2008 as a little bit of an example of how I found myself surrounded by really, really good leaders and found a way to separate myself from some people who maybe didn't belong in leadership as much as they thought. I think this is an incredible time to show empathy in a time of crisis and panic. I think those leaders that are willing to look around them and see that these are very unique circumstances are going to be the leaders that shine brightest when the dust settles. For example, we know that there are going to be layoffs, and that's a tough reality to accept, not just in the small business market. A lot of people who are running small shops and small business operations have already laid off a bunch of their staff, if not closed their doors, and this is worldwide. But more so in the larger corporate landscape, organizations that employ thousands of people in sales, engineering, customer success, support, things like that. It's a very high likelihood that there will be layoffs in those sectors as well. And I want to make sure that if you are in a position of leadership, this is not a time to practice spin selling or spin leading. If you have some news that you have to give your employees or your workforce, my advice is be as honest as humanly possible about that. Please don't delay the news. I'm hearing a lot of horror stories in some companies that are pretty well known of people being pulled into rooms and telling them today's your last day. I feel like even with times of crisis and panic and anxiety, there should never be a no-notice termination or a no-notice layoff. You know your numbers if you're in leadership, if you're in the C-suite or a VP or someone high up enough to know where your numbers are and what direction and what path you're headed. You do know where your numbers are and what you're forecasting to do. And it's okay to tell the people around you exactly what's happening. Empathy in a leadership role is something that really separates bosses from leaders. A boss will hold like a private meeting where all the other bosses are meeting in a room somewhere and they all kind of decide the fate of the employees. And a leader is someone that works for their employees. I've said this a million times. I don't think people should be promoted into leadership status. I think they should be promoted into servitude status, because that's what a leader really is someone that thinks about servitude to others more than serving themselves. So please, 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 if you're in a position of leadership and you have some information that could potentially sway the lives of others around you, please don't hold that information close to the chest. This is not a time to do that. Be overly empathetic and care about the people who are under you. Another thing that I'm seeing, and I'll say both the good and the bad side of it. I think some people are losing their social cadence. When I say social cadence, I mean hello, how are you? How's the family? How's your health? how are things? Those are things that should not be forgotten. And now, again, is a really important time to start meetings, whether you're doing in-person meetings or over Skype or Zoom, which I really love, by the way. It's so important now more than ever to make sure that the people under you or the people around you are feeling okay, they're in good health. There's nothing wrong with starting a meeting with just doing a quick roll call and making sure everybody's okay, maybe exchanging some stories about what people have done over the weekend. I'm seeing a little bit of a loss of social cadence. Hello, how are you? How's the family? Please don't forget to do those things. They really matter to the people around you, and they're going to remember this moment when the dust settles, right? Remember, this is not going to last forever. Economies go up and down and up and down. Sometimes it's because of a financial crisis, like it was in 2008. Sometimes it's because of a medical crisis, like what's happening right now in 2020. But as things go up and down and up and down, the leaders who are focused on their people are the ones that are going to gain the trust of their people long term. With that said, I do love some of the things that I'm seeing right now. I'm following a bunch of my friends who are obviously in leadership, who are doing Zoom info calls or Skype calls or FaceTime calls. What's the other app that's popular right now? House Party. So people are on these apps and they're doing social distancing happy hours, which I am a huge fan of. That to me is one of the coolest things I've seen. You're practicing good social distancing, but you're also making sure your people are still happy. That's just so creative, and tip of the hat to you if you're that kind of leader. And then finally, and again, it's been a tough time for everybody in the corporate and the leadership and the workforce world. I think it is okay to make some adjustments to your expectations. If you are, maybe selling a software or advertising or any sort of, product that has small business or medium-sized business attached to it, you have to understand that those businesses are really, really struggling right now, and the majority of them across the country have closed their doors. My barber had to close his doors on Friday. My gym had to close their doors on Friday. So all of these small businesses literally have their doors closed. If you are in leadership and one of your employees is responsible for selling a product, whether it's advertising or software, selling anything to small businesses, you need to know that there's going to be a struggle. So you can't have the exact same expectations this week as you did last week, because nobody is on the other side of the phone to answer it. This is the meeting that you should be having with the C-suite or the VPs. Try to figure out a way where expectations are realigned, if you can, right? This is all, again, if you have the luxury to do these things. Try to figure out a way where expectations are realigned. What is realistic in times right now? What industries can we profit from? And what industries do we have to just leave alone right now? And those are the meetings that you should be having. And whatever expectations you have of your sales force, you need to understand that those expectations probably have to have some sort of guidance adjustment. We will bounce back, but how you are remembered in this moment as a leader is something you can't regain, right? Some of the best pieces of advice that I got from one of my mentors, her name is Erica, I always talk about her a lot. She said, when times are easy, everybody can be nice and everybody can be loved. But it's when times are really, really tough that your true colors show, and how you handle anxiety and stress and really, really panic-stricken times is what's going to define you as a leader.